Okay, hello everybody. Today we're here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 in JPLogistics Cessna 152. We have a 98 nautical mile flight from my home field of Whiskey Bravo Whiskey Wilkes-Barre, Wyoming Valley, to India Lima Golf, New Castle, which is a towered field underneath the Philly Class Bravo airspace. You can see that we've got some snow on the ground and a hazy, wintry sky for our weather, so it should be awesome and scenic and incredibly realistic. It's going to be a great flight, so let's hop into the pilot seat and get started. Alright, I have been steadily updating my home field here to make it as realistic as possible, and you can see behind me I added all of the nearby parking lots and buildings, so it's really looking great. We've got students here on the ramp pre-flighting their aircraft. I'm loving all the detail. So we'll start by getting the window cracked open, something we can do with the JPLogistics mod. Then we'll head down here and verify that all of our switches are turned off. Our circuit breakers are in, mixture to idle cutoff, throttle is idle. We'll get the fuel shutoff valve turned on, check that our prop area is clear, and it is. Head down here and make sure the parking brake is set, and now it is. We'll bring the mixture into full rich next and crack the throttle. Prime it. It's kind of cold out, so do 4 strokes of the primer there. Battery and master are on. We'll check fuel quantity left, right, a little bit more than half a tank. Clear prop. Head down here, keys are in the ignition, and we'll crank over the starter. Okay, I can see that I've got oil pressure, RPM, right at 1,000. We've got a good start. We'll lean the mixture for ground operations. Next, we will get on the taxi light while we're down here. Then we'll head up to the avionics, and we'll get those turned on. So we've got COM1, COM2, NAV1, NAV2, no GPS. We're slant alpha today, like always. We do have a DME, which I will use, so I will turn that on. For frequencies, we've got 1228, which is Wilkes-Barre CTAF, 120950, which is Wilkes-Barre approach. On COM2, we'll get 121.5, which is guard. And then once we get that dialed in, I'm going to dial 111.6, which is Wilkes-Barre's VOR, because we're going to use that with the DME to tell us how far that we've traveled, which will also let us know how far we have to go. We're running with custom weather, so we'll verify we're set for field elevation on the altimeter, and we are. We'll check that we're clear right and left, and then make our CTAF call. Wyoming Valley traffic. Cessna 565 Whiskey, taxi from the ramp to runway 25, hold short, Wyoming Valley. Test our brakes. They work. And we're going to hang a left. I notice when you have snowfall, it accumulates on all the objects, including the custom figures that I added to the scenery, such as this woman over here with snow on her back as she's pre-flighting. So let's open up ForeFlight and I'll take you through the flight brief. We are flying in a straight line. We're departing from Wilkes-Barre, Wyoming Valley, which is an untowered field underneath the Tursa of Wilkes-Barre, Wyoming Valley. We'll talk to approach, pick up flight following. They're going to hand us off to Allentown Approach, which is the class Charlie, about halfway through our trip here. We won't actually be going through their airspace, however. Then we'll get handed off to Philly Approach because we're flying underneath their Class Bravo airspace, which has shelves at 3,500 and 3,000. We're going to fly at 2,500 underneath it, so we won't need to get a Bravo transition. Off to my left here, I know it's hard to see, but there's the windsock, and it was just favoring runway 25. We'll get another look at it right here, and we'll do our run-up. So elevator up, elevator down, rudder left, rudder right. Left aileron down, right aileron down. We've got our RPMs up to 1700, mag left. You can see and hear the drop. Go back to both. There are a lot more steps to a run-up, but we're just covering the exciting stuff here. We've got carb heat, so we'll pull carb heat out. We can hear the drop and see it carb heat back in. And next we'll get our lights on, strobe, landing, and we'll also turn on position lights, even though they're not needed. It's a dark and gloomy day. So we've made our CTAF call for back taxi on 25, and while we do that, I'll open up a freeware add-on I got, which has the performance tables and the pilot's operating handbook for the C152 by JPLogistics. 2300 is a typical cruise RPM. If we look up on the table, you can see that we're going to use 5.2 gallons per hour and cruise at 96 knots. Remember I said this is a 98 nautical mile trip, so it's going to take us about an hour to get there, and we're going to use a little bit more than 5.2 gallons to get there. We'll pause for a second and take another look at the windsock, and you can see it's definitely runway 25 with a slight crosswind to the northwest. Also in the pilot's operating handbook, you can see the time and fuel to climb out. To climb to 5500, it'll take us 1.3 gallons and 10 minutes, adding that to our 5.2 gallons, 6.5, call it 7 gallons to get there, plus another 10 minutes, about an hour, 10 minutes flight time. All right, we've swung around here onto runway 25. Get ourselves all lined up. I love how the light snow looks on the grass. This is Rex AccuSeasons giving us the nice brown trees for the wintertime. Looks fantastic. All right, full power. Gauges look good. Airspeed's coming alive. Hooking to the right a little bit. There we go, back in center line, and rotate. And we're up. And we're going to stay here in the first person perspective until we clear the mountain there on the left. And then we've got the musical flight montage that everybody loves, because I just wanted to get a great look at this area. And let me tell you, as we're taking off here, this looks incredibly real, especially in the wintertime. This is what it looks like, and I am just loving how it's portrayed. It's really like taking off from runway 25 here. We've got the Susquehanna River off to my left. Off to the right is the airport. Normally, right around where that patch of water is, that square patch of water is where I'd turn left crosswind, but we're going to do a straight out here. And you can see that there's a bridge over there. That's Route 309, and that's the Cross Valley Bridge. So we're going to turn left here. Wyoming Valley traffic, Cessna 565 Whiskey, departing the pattern straight out to the south. Final call, Wyoming Valley. Alright, we're going to make our turn onto our initial heading, and we'll toggle over to Wilkes-Barre approach. Once we do that, a 120-950, that's the Tersa for Wilkes-Barre, and we'll pick up flight volume. Wilkes-Barre approach, Cessna 565 Whiskey just off Wyoming Valley at 2000. Request flight following destination India Lima Golf at 5,500. Squawk 2313 and ident Cessna 565 Whiskey. There's our ident. Position checks, Cessna 565 Whiskey. We're climbing up to 5,500 on this trip. Currently we're at 2,500, and it is a little bit dreary, so I'm going to turn the panel lights up here for the instruments just to make them a little bit easier to see. Okay, that's a little bit better. Off to my left here, there's the Cross Valley, and I can see the Wyoming Valley Mall. That's the big cluster of buildings kind of dead center there. And those blinking lights all the way off to the left are AVP. That's the Class Delta for Wilkes-Barre Scranton International. Off to my right here, I've got the Susquehanna. We've got the remainder of Wilkes-Barre just underneath us. And I've got a couple more bridges that are landmarks, and of course behind me, we've got Wyoming Valley. You may have trouble seeing it, but I can see that I made a slight error here in my plotting of my course, because this is taking me straight through the radio towers that stick up there directly off my nose. So we're going to turn off autopilot, and we're going to jog over to the right here to get around those towers. As I do that, I could just see my first waypoint off to the left there, which was that flat water. That is Crystal Lake. So we've got the towers just underneath the strut. I've cleared them. Crystal Lake is coming into view. That's our first waypoint. So now we're going to sit back and enjoy that flight simulator scenery as we look for our other landmarks and waypoints. Alright, that was an awesome flight. There were a bunch of things I was dying to try with this. One was to see how AccuSeason looked with winter textures, and the brown trees and the snow on the ground just looks amazing. And then the second was to enjoy Wyoming Valley Airport that I've slowly been building up. At some point I hope to release that on flightsim.to when I get it polished. And then the last one was this airport. India Lima Golf is just a fantastic freeware. It's payware quality, so be sure to check the video details for the link. So I hope you enjoy realistic general aviation flying like this. If you do, be sure to click that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, as always, for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.